We are live.
5:30, having arrived on Monday, May 13th, 2024. I'd like to call to order our Finance and Personnel meeting. Clerk, roll call, please.
Alder West,
Present.
Alder Horton excused, Alder Davis,
Present.
Alder Land,
Here.
Alder McCarthy.
Present.
That completes roll call.
All right, thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for April 29th, 2024.
Move to approve.
All right, second. All right, moved by Alder Land, and second by the Chair West. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? All right, minutes approved. First item.
Item number 0423-24, communication sponsored by Alder West on behalf of the fire chief, requesting the mayor, city clerk, finance director, and fire chief be authorized to accept the city of Racine portion of the Wisconsin Emergency Management State Urban Search and Rescue Emergency Services contract for the period of July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2026. Grant control number 00573. Staff recommendation that the mayor, city clerk, finance director, and chief be authorized to accept and sign the Wisconsin Emergency Management State Urban Search and Rescue Emergency Services contract for the period July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2026. Control number 00573. Fiscal note. City will receive reimbursement for training and services rendered under the agreement. Soft match on the part of the city is under $20,000 annually and is covered in the fire department budget. Chief Hansen is here to speak on the item.
Good evening, Alder West, members of the Finance Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to present this contract to you once again. This is the same contract that we approved 2 years ago. So this is an extension of that existing agreement. What this involves is the training and improving the skill sets of our firefighters and paramedics for confined space, collapse, trench, dive, anything involved in technical rescue. As some of you may know, we do have a fully equipped technical rescue vehicle in the fire department, along with a trailer that goes along with that. So this is just an extension of that existing agreement. The beauty of this contract is the state has been paying for and reimbursing us for all our costs associated with the training at the REACT Center, which is located up at Hope Field, which is Camp Douglas, for those of you that are familiar with that. This is extremely high quality training. This gives us what's called Pro Board certification for our members that are attending. So in the end, there is really no cost to us as a city, since we're reimbursed for our costs, and also provided equipment as part of our technical rescue team. This evening I have Battalion Chief Mike DeGarmo with me. He's in charge of our special teams, special operations, which includes tech rescue. So he's here to, as an observer, obviously, but if you have any technical questions, I would play them now. So.
Questions at this time for Chief Hansen? All right, being none, I'll make a motion to approve item 0423-24. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All right, so properly moved by the chair and seconded by Alder Davis. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you for your time this evening.
Item number 0426-24, communication sponsored by Alder West on behalf of the MIS director, requesting permission to apply for the 2024 Capital Project Fund Digital Connectivity and Navigators Program Grant, control number 00572. Staff recommendation that the request to apply for the 2024 Capital Project Fund Digital Connectivity and Navigators Program Grant be approved, control number 00572. Fiscal note. If awarded, we expect to receive $550,000. No match is required. Chief Information Officer Edwards is here to speak on the item.
Thank you, Alder West, Director Fisher, members of the Finance Personnel Committee, and others. This 2-year grant will improve digital equity in the city of Racine by providing computers and digital skills training for residents with the greatest need. The city census shows that the median household income is now $59,499, with 11.2% of persons living below the poverty line. The poverty rate for Black people in Racine is nearly twice that of the population as a whole, at nearly 32%. With access to devices coupled with training to use computers and navigate the internet safely for low-income households and individuals, more citizens will be able to easily use a computer to research information important to them, find and apply for a job, have fun doing things like watching YouTube or emailing family, purchasing from online retailers, taking online courses, and partaking in telehealth in a secure way. This can positively impact the health, well-being, and household income of many of our citizens. If obtained, the Digital Divide Roundtable partners will provide qualified citizens and refurbished computers with security and productivity software, as well as train the digital navigators. The cities will hire the navigators and manage the grant. The digital navigators will teach citizens how to securely and properly use computers with the grant loans that the grant loans them, as well as be available after training to support any additional questions or needs the citizen may have. The city will sell the computers to the citizens for a nominal cost at the end of the grant. To ensure continued improvement, the city will also create training programs for Racine nonprofits to train their own staff in digital navigation skills or provide support to hire digital navigator staff. This will ensure the impact to the city and its citizens of this grant continues far into the future. Any questions?
Yeah, the floor, Alderman
Thank you,
McCarthy.
Mr. Chair. Just curious about the Digital Divide organization.
As part of the work under Smart Cities, the mayor had wanted to ensure that the city had enough available bandwidth and broadband. Broadband actually isn't the issue. Affordable broadband is the issue. So I convened a variety of members of the nonprofit community, churches, as well as schools, K-9 through university, county members and others who are interested in reducing the digital divide, the difference between those that have computers, know how to use them, and the internet, and those that don't. And so we've got approximately 50 different organizations part of this. And so they would be the ones who would provide either their own access to constituents that they work with who have a need to learn more about computers. And then we've got some other nonprofits actually outside the city that we partnered with that are national or in Milwaukee will provide some of the other things like the low-cost computers, repurposed computers, and the training.
Is a group that you established in that I'm hearing?
Yes.
Cool. You get to apply for a grant to your own group.
Well, the group is partially funded by ARPA funds. And so one of the reasons I got this group together was to go after the city of Racine won't be able to get any of the big bead funding that's putting in fiber throughout the state. But they're what I call the little beads, which are actually the digital equity grants, and there's 2 of them. And I want to apply for those because that's the sweet spot for the city of Racine, where we will be able to really improve the lives of citizens to ensure that everybody has access to affordable internet, to a device, and the knowledge on how to use it.
Thank you.
Alderman.
So we're applying for the grant and we would get the grant, but we're not gonna be doing the training, these other organizations?
No, so we will be partnering with a organization called Everyone On, which is a national organization. And one of the things they provide is digital navigator training. And so it made sense to me to partner with them because they do this nationally to train the people that we hire to then go out into the city to do the training of the citizens.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yes. Thank you.
How do you decide who gets to enter this program? Because if I remember correctly, I think the county had something similar to this as well, right?
So the grant specifies based on mainly income for this grant specifically. And so that's why I want to look to our nonprofit partners for some of their constituents. And so we're not the ones asking them. The city isn't asking about this information. We're having the nonprofit partner who's a citizen feels is a trusted organization to them. And so we'll be working directly with a trusted nonprofit. But it's basically based on either not having access, under represented, not represented at all with the connectivity, or are low income.
What's the name of that nonprofit?
There's I'm looking at a large amount, which nonprofit would be wanting?
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm talking about a lot of the nonprofits specifically, and so the Literacy Council, the library is another partner, because they've been doing this for quite a long time. WRTP, I'm talking actually tomorrow with, the next day with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Any more questions? Keep that. All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve item 0426-24.
So moved.
Second.
All right, properly moved by Alderman McCarthy and seconded by Alderman Land. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 0421-24, communication sponsored by Alder West on behalf of the Finance Director requesting approval of a resolution designating the Finance Director as the official authorized to declare official intent to reimburse capital expenditures made prior to a tax exempt borrowing. Staff recommendation that the resolution be adopted designating the Finance Director as the official authorized to declare official intent to reimburse capital expenditures prior to a tax exempt borrowing. Fiscal note, authorization would allow spending of capital borrowing funds as authorized by the Common Council in the annual budget. Director Fisher is here to speak on the item. So this is actually my item. This is something that the council has not authorized in quite a long time. We actually have this authorization on file from 1993. Our bond council has suggested that we update it to actually have my name on it, because I think it has Dave Brown's name still on it as the finance director at the time. Basically what this does, it's similar to water and wastewater. Sometimes you'll see those reimbursement resolutions come through for water, wastewater. What this allows us to do is delay our annual borrowing later in the year, but allow everyone to start spending their money earlier in the year, and then we can reimburse it later. Right now, we don't have the cash flow needs that we used to have back in the day. We have a little bit more cash on hand. And what we're trying to do with, obviously, bond council is we are hopeful that the rates are going to go down a little bit later in the year. So we're trying to leverage that since we don't need the cash on hand right now. So this does two things. It allows the authorization of official intent. I would do that annually each year. Keep that annual authorization in a folder. It does not come back to Common Council. There may be years where we use it. There may be years that we don't use it, depending on what is going on. So in a regular year in the past, we would borrow usually around July or August. We will probably push all the way to November this year, maybe after the election, depending on what interest rates are doing. So that is what this is. Any questions?
All right, any questions from Mr. Fisher, Alderman McCarthy, and the floor?
Thank you. So this is an ongoing obligation for you then at this point then?
Correct.
Not just for this year, anything else?
Correct.
And your mentioned schedule there, does that mean we're not going to be doing no anticipation notes this year?
That is correct. That's a very good question. So one of the reasons we had this conversation as well is because the law has actually changed with tax exempt bonds in the state of Wisconsin. In the past, municipalities could not borrow over 15 years without a referendum. So what many communities used to do, particularly the long ones, is we would borrow a short-term borrowing in July or August, and then we would refinance it over 15 years in November, because a refinanced bond could be amortized over 15 years. This actually, the rule change is actually quite advantageous to us twofold. We don't have to pay fees twice, and we don't have to pay an interest payment on a bond that we issue in July or August.
Don't see red, don't see your.
That's correct. I mean, that might be good or bad, depending. So that was a really advantageous law change that went through just recently. So that was also one of the reasons.
Any other discussion? questions? All right, at this time, I'll make a motion to approve item 0421-24. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, properly moved by the chair and seconded by Alderman McCarthy. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? Motion carried.
Item number 0425-24, communication sponsored by Alder West on behalf of the finance director requesting authorization to carry forward various budget items from 2023 to 2024. Staff recommendation that the resolution authorizing 2023 to 2024 budget carryovers be approved. Fiscal note, these are budget carryovers for commitments that were existing, encumbered, and funded in prior years, as well as projects that have spending periods over 1 year in length. There is existing funding in place for this action. Again, this is my item on the agenda. This is something that I bring forward every year as we are required to do so. There are three types. I do have an ABM attached associated with this too, but there's three types of carryovers, if you will. One is purchase orders. So those are items generally professional services in nature, generally under $25,000. Then you have contracts. Those are the bigger construction contracts. Those two are both what are considered encumbered on our books, okay? Set aside, funds are set aside. Then you have what are called carryovers. Carryovers are funds that were appropriated or approved in 2023, but not yet spent. The majority of those, not spent or encumbered, the majority of those are again bond funds. So we bond in 2023, you approve a 2023 capital budget. We have 18 months to spend that money. So often we spend the majority of it in the subsequent year. So that's what the majority of this is. There are a few kind of unique ones in this carry forward request. They're relatively small, but I do want to point them out because they are relatively unique. In community development, the departments themselves can request carry forwards of the finance director, and then I get the permission of common council. So city development is purchasing some software to help with rental registrations. That is about a $20,000 request. That's relatively unusual, but they did have funds available in their budget. They were way under budget in 2023. So that is relatively unusual. And then there were some professional services in the health department for the clinic and the operations of the clinic that weren't paid in 2023, but will be paid in 2024. Again, those funds were available. Sister cities is pretty common. We carry that one forward every year. And then another software as well for city development. This is in the NED division. And I think this has something to do with mapping in the NED division and helping with what they do out of NED. Any questions?
So there's three types of carryovers on this too, so.
So purchase orders is one, contracts is two,
Oh,
carryovers is
I
three.
thought you had combined this.
Nope.
All right, any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for item 0425-24 at this time.
Approved.
Probably moved by Alderman McCarthy and seconded by Alderman Davis. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 0424-24, communications sponsored by Alder West on behalf of the city clerk requesting to republish the official newspaper request for bids for the city of Racine official newspaper due to lack of bids submitted during the first official bid notice. Staff recommendation that the bid be renoticed, accepted, and the city clerk will report back to the common council on the lowest responsible bidder. At this point, it says NA for the fiscal note. Amber has actually asked me to speak on this item for her because she's down at PSL. She did give me some details. So this is a relatively, unfortunately common occurrence. We are required by state statute to bid which newspaper we publish our minutes and agendas and those types of things in. So we go through this process every single year, and as long as I can remember, we never get bidders the first time. They actually put the bid out on the street in March. So it's been out for almost 2 months and we still got nobody, including the Journal Times. So they kind of go through that first process, and then generally what they'll do this next time is they'll actually call the Journal Times and say, hey, listen, give me a bid. And then Tara will come back, or Amber in this case, will come back with whatever it is that the Journal Times bids. But as long as I remember, it's always ended up with the Journal Times, but per state statute, this is part of what we have to do.
Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, at this time, I'll make a motion to approve item 0424-24. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, probably moved by the chair and seconded by Alderman. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item number 0436-24, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason on behalf of the city clerk requesting ordinance 0001-24 ward boundary modifications following the 2024 redistricting be adopted. Staff recommendation is to approve. No fiscal note for this item. Assistant City Attorney Lynn is here to speak on the item. Did I say your last name?
Yes, you did. Thank you. Good evening. So some of you may be aware, some of you may not be. The legislature has enacted new maps for our state assembly and state senate districts. Those affect Racine because our state senate and state assembly lines have been changed. This ordinance would be to adopt those changes, and it is done through exclusively dividing current wards. No individuals are going to be shifted between each aldermanic district. Everyone is going to have the same alders. All of the alders are going to have the same districts. There's not going to be any population change. It is just subdividing the current existing wards into often smaller blocks of wards so that we comply with the state statutes. The state is the one who enacted this through the Legislative Technology Service Bureau. It was passed out of the city clerk's office, and staff has, through the GIS specialist in the city attorney's office, created a map indicating where the new wards will be and the appropriate legal language to go along with that. So there currently is 49 wards that are in 15 aldermanic districts. This would create new wards 50 through 57. But again, none of the wards are changing aldermanic districts. Whoever is in the current aldermanic district as in city residents, they will still be in that one after this change. Their ward might change, but their alder will not. This only affects 5 of the aldermanic districts. It's 1, 2, 3, 11, and 13. And that is subdividing them. I can go through which subdivisions are there. I believe a map was sent along to show what the aldermanic or what the new wards will be. Most of them are very small because the changes in the boundaries by the state legislature were fairly small, and these are just to accommodate that. Do you have any questions?
Alderman McCarthy, you have the floor.
This might go to Kathleen later. Impact on costs for the city clerk's office for this. I'm sure there's at least 8 new versions of ballots that have to come out.
Yeah, so there will be a cost. Can I tell you the exact amount? No, Tara probably knows better, and I can certainly get that before common council if she has, but you're absolutely right. There'll be more ballots, which are produced by Racine County for us, but I believe that we have to send mailings to all these people and just say which ward that they're in, even though they're in the same district. It is a different ward, so the mailings will have to go out. There is a bit of work and cost associated with it.
Chair's commission, I'd like to request that the physical notice be included on this. To city council, I think that's important. Will this affect anybody's voting location? Are the wards supposed to be created inside the existing locations?
Based on the communication that we have from the city clerk's office, that there will not be any changes in where there's voting. As of right now, they can't absolutely promise that because voting locations are still being chosen, but the goal is for people to vote in the same place that they would vote under the prior maps as well.
Okay. All right, Alderman McCarthy, would you like to make a motion on this item with your
No changes? Oh, well, there's no change to the actual motion.
Oh, okay. All right.
Then, yes.
All right,
Yeah,
this
I
time
just had a note to get some sort of.
Okay.
No.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for item 0436-24.
Second.
All right, properly moved by Alder Land and seconded by Alder Davis. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 0392-24, communications funds for Elder West on behalf of the city attorney's office submitting the claim of Cynthia L. Knapp Finley for consideration for disallowance. Staff recommendation that the claim be disallowed. Deputy City Attorney Rubin, please speak on the other. She'll just be up there for a while.
Cynthia Knapp Finley filed a claim with the city requesting an unspecified amount of damages allegedly arising from her vehicle striking a parked car while she was driving on Meacham Road, due to alleged water on the road back on January 16, 2024. She alleges that a water main break caused a bunch of flooding in the road, and when she drove through the flooding, the water splashed onto her windshield and turned to ice, which compromised her ability to see through the windshield, and then she drove into this parked car. But the city denies liability because we didn't have prior notice of defect in the water main. Once we were alerted, both police in Mount Pleasant and the water utility went to the site to rectify the block off and then rectify the situation. But at the time this accident happened, we had no knowledge of it. Therefore, we're not legally liable for the alleged damages. So we would recommend disallowing this.
Any questions, discussion? All right, at this time, I'll make a motion to disallow. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, properly moved by the chair and seconded by Alder Land. All those in favor for disallowance for item 0392-24, please say by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion approved.
Item number 0393-24, communications fund for Elder West on behalf of the city attorney's office submitting the claim of Paul Anderson for consideration for disallowance. Deputy City Attorney Rubik here to speak on the item.
Paul Anderson claims reimbursement in the amount of $30,000 for damages allegedly arising from an auto collision involving a city bus. His personal vehicle at or near the intersection of Ohio Street and Bird Avenue on February 19th, 2022. The claimant is the driver of the vehicle that was allegedly struck by the city-owned bus. He claims that he incurred $6,530.09 in medical expenses, yet he's asking for $30,000 in damages. So we're recommending disallowance of this claim because the city disputes the amount of damages claimed and his liability for the damages. By disallowing this claim, it will benefit the city from an abbreviated statute of limitations, but the disallowance of this claim will not prevent the city from negotiating a fair settlement of this claim. So, we recommend disallowance.
All right, move to disallow. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, properly moved by the chair and seconded by Alder Land. All those in favor of the motion, please state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 0394-24, communications sponsored by Elder West on behalf of the city attorney's office submitting the claim of Sheila Edwards for consideration for disallowance. Staff recommendation that the claim be disallowed.
Thank you. Sheila Edwards filed this claim with the city requesting an unspecified amount of damages for water damage that allegedly occurred to her basement at 4621 Blue River Avenue in Racine due to an alleged burst water pipe on January 6th, 2023. She filed her claim with the city on January 30th, 2024, alleging a January 6th, 2023 event. And therefore, the claim was untimely filed. The law requires that a claim be filed within 120 days after the happening at the event giving rise to the claim. Beyond that, it didn't include a itemized statement of the relief sought. So the claimant just didn't satisfy the statutory requirements for filing a timely claim, with all the necessary information. And therefore doesn't have a right to maintain an action against the city. Also, the city and the water utility did not have constructive or actual knowledge of a defect in the pipe. No one had any sort of knowledge of a water pipe burst even back on January 6, 2023 in that vicinity. However, the water utility was notified of a 12-inch water main break at 4618 Blue River Avenue. The claimant's address is 4621 Blue River Avenue. But that break occurred on January 14th, 2024, not on January 6th, 2023 or 24. But this was the first break reported in this main in this area, and the city didn't have prior knowledge of that the pipe was compromised. Therefore, the city and the utility are not legally liable for the alleged damages.
Any discussion? Move to disallow. Do I have a second? All right, it's properly moved by the chair and seconded by Alderman Davis. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 0395-24, communication sponsor for Elder West on behalf of the city attorney's office submitting the claim of Marshina McWhorter for consideration for disallowance. Staff recommendation that the claim be disallowed.
Martina McWhorter claimed reimbursement amount of $2,038 in damages, inclusive of property damages and bodily injuries that allegedly arose from an auto collision with one of our city fire trucks right out at the roundabout here on 6th and 7th Street back on October 5th, 2023. The city disputes its liability for the damages and therefore recommends the claim be disallowed.
Discussion. Go ahead, Alderman.
That's it.
Yeah.
We said,
Yeah, we actually have a city employee who witnessed this accident and gave a very reliable account of what happened, and from that it can be derived whose fault it really was.
All right, move to disallow. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? All right, properly moved by the chair and seconded by Alderman Land. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 0398-24, communication sponsor for Elder West on behalf of the city attorney's office submitting the claim of Maria Martinez, 1122 Metron Court for consideration for disallowance. Staff recommendation that the claim be disallowed.
So Maria Martinez is claiming reimbursement in the amount of $161.32 in damages that allegedly arose from the city charging her for 2 recycling bins in 2023, but she asserts that there was only 1 recycling bin on the property located at 122 Metron Court in Racine in 2023. The city denies liability, first due to defects in the claimant's filed. The claim didn't contain the claimant's address, so it didn't satisfy the statutory requirements for filing the claim, and she doesn't have the right to maintain action against the city, so she didn't meet those requirements. Beyond that, the 2-family residence located at 1122 Metron Court is owned by Guadalupe Villegas, and he was the one who was charged for these recycling bins, not Maria Martinez, who doesn't appear on the title of the property or the tax bill. And finally, it's a 2-family residence, and it was properly assigned and provided with 2 recycling bins in 2023. So it was properly charged for those bins. For those reasons, we recommend disallowance.
Any discussion? All right, I'll make a motion to move to disallow. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Probably moved by the chair and seconded by Alderman Land. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 0399-24, communication sponsored by Alder West on behalf of the city attorney's office submitting the claim of Maria Martinez, MLK Drive, for consideration for disallowance. Staff recommendation that the claim be disallowed.
Thank you. This is similar yet different from the last claim we just discussed. Same claimant, Maria Martinez, here to claim $80 in damages, from what she alleged was improper charging for 3 recycling bins in 2023. She asserts that there were only 2 recycling bins on the property located at 1117 and a half Martin Luther King Drive, in 2023. The city asserts that the 3-family residence located at that address was provided 3 recycling bins in 2023 and then was properly charged therefore. Maria Martinez is on the title for this property and the tax bill, but it was actually determined that she had 3 bins, 2 were in use and 1 she was using for storage. We still get charged even if you're just using for storage. So we recommend.
Right, move to disallow. Do I have a second? All right, properly moved by the chair, second by Alder Davis. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, motion carries.
So I'll read the closed session language, then vote, roll call.
Yep.
Vote, motion, roll call, yes. Motion, vote. Do whatever you want. It's intended that Finance and Personnel Committee will convene in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.851G to discuss strategy for litigation in which the city of Racine is or is likely to be involved.
We'll come to closed session.
Second. Roll call, please.
Alder West,
Yes.
Alder Horton is excused, Alder Davis,
Here.
Alder Land,
Aye.
Alder McCarthy.
Aye.
That completes roll call to go into closed session. Give me a moment to shut this down here.
Scott. Or focus closed.